Welcome to Financial Nirvana Mama. I wanted to do this video today because I thought it would be a ton of value to you. Have you ever dealt with a situation or thought of a situation where you faced disaster in one of your rental properties? Well, this is what I'm going to talk about today and how to deal with it. So stick around. So this is it. Have you ever considered what would you do? So this happened to me many years ago. It was in my second investment property. It was a multi-unit property at 3 separate apartments. And so needless to say, I was pretty green. This was my second investment property, only a year into it. So what happened was I received a call in the middle of the night. And it was, I could almost remember the time. It was around 10 o'clock in the evening. And I thought, okay, I thought it was my parents. But when I received the phone call, I soon realized it was actually one of my tenants calling me. And my heart dropped. When you have a tenant calling you that late at night, something bad has happened. So when I answered the call, she told me, first thing she said was that the ceiling was raining water. I felt horrible for her, and of course I was also very concerned about my property. So I asked her, of course, number one is the safety of your tenants. So I asked her if everything was fine in that her family who's living in that unit, were they injured from this, and she said no, everyone was fine and that she's going to evacuate the unit. So what I asked of her is before she does that, can she please shut off the water if she knew where it was? And so I got off the phone with that, and I called the other 2 tenants and made sure they evacuated the unit. And also, if they knew where their water shut off was, shut it off immediately just to prevent any more damage. Well, when I went out, so the second thing is I dealt with the situation immediately, and I drove over there in the middle of the night, and first thing I thought of was the electrical panels. I need to turn those off, shut all the electricity, shut off all the water. I was just concerned that further damage was going to happen, and I just want to prevent any more damage to everything in that house. And when I went in, it was really bad. There was water raining from the ceiling all over the kitchens. It was a major disaster. And so thankfully, I'm very thankful that I also had a home insurance package. Sorry, not a home emergency package with this house. So I had phone numbers on hand that I could call to immediately get an electrician and a plumber out immediately, and that's what I did. And then I also gave a heads up, processing a claim with my insurance company, letting them know of the situation, which was a water flood. It was a burst pipe situation. Now, after dealing with that and dealing with I wanted to prevent any further damage and mitigate the problem, because the worst thing that could happen is water and electricity just don't mix. I didn't want any fires happening. After I got that under control, then I want to take care of my tenants and see where they could stay and what I can do. Now, of course, I thought of immediately giving the rent, whatever rent's left, back to them, and seeing if they had any other places they could stay, because there's no way they would be able to go back into the property. It was done. And thankfully, the tenants did find places to stay. But in one situation, this particular situation, it was a family, and they only had a couple nights with their friends. But after that, they kept saying that, they didn't know where to go. And I felt so bad for them because I was asking them if they had tenant insurance. And I soon realized that all of my tenants had no tenant insurance. And that is a big deal, because if you have tenant insurance, it actually covers damage to your your bedding and all that and your furniture, but it also, most importantly, if anything like a water flood ever happened, they would also cover the stay of a hotel until for a certain amount of time, depending on the insurance package. So that was a huge lesson learned, that my tenants didn't have tenant insurance, and it really doesn't cost that much. It's around $20 a month for apartments. And in this situation, I'm sure they felt regret not having that insurance. So the next thing is dealing with the claims process. Now that happens the next day, and it became a 4 month, I think 4 to 6 month process. I can't exactly remember how long, but it took that long to deal with this claim. And thankfully, during this period, I also had rental loss insurance. So you're not going to get any more income coming in because your tenants are gone. And depending how long it takes to repair the unit, well, it could be months. And I think this worked out to be I kind of remember almost 6 months where the units, maybe two of the units were, I could put tenants in, but there's one last unit I just couldn't put tenants in until 6 months later. So if you don't have rental loss insurance, guys, get it. And this will cover if there's damage to the property and you need to vacate the tenants and you don't get any rental income coming in, the insurance will cover that. And that's an addition that you need to get to your insurance package. Next thing you want to consider is during the, of course, the assessment on the claim, they will give you, well, I don't think if they tell you directly, but you can get a payout. So you can either get cash payout, which means you have to deal with all the damage, or you just get the insurance company to deal with it themselves, and meaning they'll get all the contractors coming in and they'll renovate it. But if you do get a cash payout and you are considering this, there's potential tax implications in that. If you don't spend all the money, check what that does tax-wise. And I've never dealt with this, but I suspect that there would be tax implications if you don't spend the full amount. So my situation, it was a $90,000 bill. Thankfully, insurance covered it. And honestly, I did not want to deal with managing all the contractors because there was an intense amount of renovations, gutting the unit. And I had a life and I also have a job, so I just didn't have any time to deal with it. So consider that when you say you do have some time, you think, okay, well, maybe it's to my advantage to deal with a cash payout, but just think of the tax implications, and and all about the bookkeeping and that sort of thing. So that's the aftermath. Now, what are the lessons learned in this situation? This is the key things I really want to bring up, is that when you deal with a catastrophe or disaster, make sure that you know where all the shutoffs are in that unit, or your property. If you have a property manager that's dealing with that they know clearly where that is, because all the shutoffs have to be turned off. Second, make sure you have emergency numbers on hand. Now, your property manager might have them, but say I don't know, maybe you don't have a really good property manager. I faced that in the past, and I had to deal with it because I couldn't get a hold of property manager. If you're in this situation, make sure you have your emergency numbers on hand and make sure you have the right insurance products. So that leads me to the third thing. Make sure you have the right insurance products. Does it cover rental loss insurance? What type of losses it does cover? What kind of damage does it cover? And to make sure you know it inside out. Then this leads me to say the next one. Insurance for the tenants. Make sure the tenants get tenant loss insurance. This saves them. And I just make it mandatory as part of your leases, and it just helps alleviates any disaster you have to face, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to face with disaster and also realize that your tenants don't have any tenant loss insurance, and then it's just such a horrible situation. And anyways, that was a lot of tips. Hopefully that was very helpful for you. I thankfully didn't quit my real estate investing adventure. I decided to learn from it and build more systems and processes to make sure that if disaster hit, I would know instinctively what to do because and of course I have a system in place now. So if you like what you heard today, please give me a thumbs up if you found this very helpful. And you want more? Please navigate to financialnirvanamama.com where I post a lot of articles and more videos and tips and I have a free real estate investing toolbox to launch your real estate investing journey. Check out financialnirvanamama.com. Thank you.